Hey GFX friends, welcome to my Boss GT-1 tutorial. This is made a little bit tricky by the extremely bright display of the Boss GT-1, but by now if you've got one of these you've probably taken a tour through the presets and seen that there is quite a lot of potential, and you might have had a look through the menu and seen that it's fairly deep and a little bit confusing. So let's get into it. First of all, a quick tour just to familiarize. The Easy Edit section here is designed to get you quickly to the sound that you want. It's like a rough sketch pad that allows you to get quickly to the three major components of a sound and get into the ballpark of what you're looking for before you go into the finer editing down here, which is your actual effects chain. Each of these 7 buttons shows the effects in your chain, and I will point out that they do not have to appear in this order, but I will talk more about that in just a moment. The Memory Edit button is about editing specific patches in fine detail. Above that we've got our 3 parameter dials. And I'm sorry about how dark this video is showing, guys, but like I said before, the amount of contrast between the brightness of the screen and the black background and black controls is very intense and potentially a bit of a problem. Down here we've got our enter, exit and right control and master menu control on the right. The actual switching system is fairly familiar with a bank up and bank down button. The nice bright LEDs make this an easy target on stage. And of course Boss's CTL button, which allows us to change parameters without changing the actual patch. Okay, so starting right up at the top left, let's press the select button. First I'll just direct your attention to the bottom line here where you'll see sort type, category and select. These 3 columns relate to the positions of knobs 1, 2 and 3. So knob 1's controlling sort type, knob 2's controlling category and knob 3 is select. So if I turn knob number 1, you'll see that the way in which we sort our patches changes to drive and to genre, looking right up in the top left of the display there. Turning knob 2 changes the category, so we have genre selected on the top left, and it's taking us through various genres there: acoustic, metalcore, studio, hard rock and so on. Let's go back to knob 1 and change to drive, so clean drive, crunch, hard, as I'm turning knob number 2 now. And that also includes dominant effect types like envelope, pitch, modulation and so on. The third dial, select, simply takes us through all of the user patches and on into preset patches as well, right through all 200 slots. So let's move on to the next button, which is Edit. This button takes us to the Easy Edit mode. In fact, both of the buttons up on the top left are designed to move us towards the sound that we want nice and quickly. This is not an area for deep editing, this is for quick ballpark editing. So once again we have 3 columns relating to our 3 dials. Turning the first dial, you'll see that we're changing the general tone, or the general drive feel of the sound. So if you're looking for metal, for example, you simply look for metal and then you know you're heading towards the right kind of sound. The second dial relates to vibe, which I guess is sort of a slang term for the vibe or feel of your sound. If you want just a nice chorus sound or a slow phaser, that can sound good with a metal lead sound, so we'll try that. And then the third knob relates to echo. I think a better word to put here would have been ambience, because as we turn the dial we see that we've got not only a range of delays but also reverbs and combinations. But anyway, having done that, we're getting ourselves into the general area or the general kind of sound that we're looking for. And when you press enter down towards the bottom right, this opens up our actual effects chain where we get into the more detailed side of the editing. Have a look along this bottom row here again, because this will always tell you what your 3 knobs are controlling. Select, as you turn that, just allows you to move along the effect chain and look through each of your effects. You can press enter there and go ahead and edit each individual effect. For example, the parameters of your overdrive control there. Convenient warning when your battery's low. Just press exit to take that off the screen. The function of knob number 2 is really handy. This is where you can change the order of effects in your chain. So I've got overdrive selected simply by landing on it using knob number 1. Knob number 2 allows me to pick it up and just take it anywhere. So in theory I could have overdrive as my very last effect. Normally you'll find your drive sounds right at the beginning of the effect chain, maybe after compression, but this is a great feature of the GT-1. You can really experiment with this. Sometimes it's good to put your modulation effects before your drive sound, or if you want to get really creative you could do something like add a long delay before a fuzz sound or something like that. just to see what the outcome is. That battery really is getting low. I'll change that now. Right, so to recap, we were in edit mode. That's the button second from the top left. We found our way to metal lead, slow phaser, and using knob 3 I was right at the end at delay and reverb. Then we press enter, second from the bottom right, and we're back in our effects chain. So as I was saying, I can scroll over using knob number 1 to overdrive, move it wherever I want using knob number 2. The third knob in this screen is disabled. The way I go into editing for overdrive is to press enter again. So the enter button always takes us one step deeper. And while we're talking about the enter button, it's worth noting that up here we've got 2 tabs. You can just see a second line there indicating that there are 2 tabs in this particular effect. Pressing the enter button will allow you to change tabs. You can have up to 4 tabs in certain effects. Nothing surprising in this particular one. The first tab is type, drive and effect level. Again, that's associated with each of the knob controls. And on the second tab, we've got a bit of equalization and direct level. We'll press exit to take us back out of that. And exit again to go back to the main screen. And just quickly observing this bottom line again, we've got knob 1 controlling patch. So we're scrolling very easily through all of our patches. Patch level, very handy for getting everything balanced as you switch between patches so that you don't get any surprising differences in volume as you switch through your sounds. And then output level, which is your master volume, way over on the right knob. Goes right up to 200. And now we'll have a look at what's under the menu button. It takes us into this series of icons. All 3 knobs have the same function here. They simply scroll you through each of the icons and you access them by pressing the enter button. So let's have a look inside output. This function changes the sound of the unit universally to suit the way in which you're listening to it. So turning dial number 1 or any of the dials, you'll see that it can be optimized for various kinds of amplification systems. JC120, a small amp, a combo amp, and just line headphones, which is ideal just for practice. Exit from there and move to the next one. Display, press enter, and it's simply a contrast control. Might actually raise that slightly. Main menu again, and the play button gives us some master control over the effect controllers. First of all, the 2 expression pedals. There is one built-in expression pedal, and you can also attach another, and their functionality can be switched on and off here. Knob lock is a function that causes the value of knobs to stay in position until you rotate the knob back to that position, where it catches that value, and then you're in control again. With that switched off, the knobs will change values as soon as you touch them. I hope that makes sense, but I'm sure it will make sense very quickly when you try that control and you see the difference that it makes. Personally, I prefer to have instant control, so I leave it off. Once again, have a look up on the top right here and you'll see that we've got 2 tabs, so press enter to go to the next tab. Looking at the first column here, you can change what happens when you press the down and up pedals together. So by default it's with tuner, but by pressing down and up you can change it to activating the loop control or going up or down a whole bank, as opposed to going up or down one patch at a time. The default controls seem pretty sensible, so I'll leave that on tuner. Exactly the same if you turn dial number 2. These are the next 2 foot pedals pressing up and control 1, which would normally be used to activate loops. The last knob will simply switch the pedal lights on or off. Of course, it looks much cooler to have them on. Next on the menu, knob controls. Once again, the defaults really are ideal, but I'll show you what you can change with each of the knob settings. I'll quickly run through how you can assign each of the knobs. There are many parameters. I'm turning here. There are literally dozens of controls that knob 1 can be. As always, I'm inclined to leave them at their defaults. Knob 1, for example, on the master screen will simply change your patch. Knob 2 is set to change patch level. Knob 3 is set to change master output level. But yeah, you can scroll through all this and have a look at all the things that they change, and you might find a setting that's ideal for you. I'm just going to park it back at output level. Next on the menu, using knob 1 to scroll to the right, we've got preferences. Here we have 4 tabs available to us. And tab number 1 allows us to change the function of the expression pedal and the control 1. To be honest, I haven't looked too deeply into that. Let's press enter and go to the next tab. And similarly here we can change the functionality of various different switches on the main panel. Enter again, tab number 3. Again, this appears to be controlling what particular pedals will relate to within the system. This is showing us, for example, if we had an expression controller connected, it would be changing parameters within the patch rather than system parameters. Again, as is usually the case, all of the default parameters seem to be about right, and I think it would be pretty unusual to need to change any of those. Let's exit out of that and go to our next one, which is the loop controls. Enter. Well, this is a simple one. This is simply the level of the loop that you've recorded against the sounds that you go ahead and play over it. Next on the menu is USB. This is specifically for getting a USB cable, plugging it into the socket on the GT-1, connecting to your computer. It's a very simple and reliable recording system, and once again I find myself continuing to say this, but it's quite unusual that you would need to change any of these default values. Next menu item is pedal calibration. If you want to ensure that the sweep of your expression pedal is just right, what you need to do is pull right back into the heel position, press enter, then it will prompt you to put it in the forward position and press enter again, and then the pedal will know exactly where it's at mechanically, and you'll be assured of getting the full sweep of your expression control. Next and finally on the master menu, you've got factory reset. Press enter there, and you'll find that you can restore particular ranges of user patches, so like this. So from user 60 right through to user 99. Or of course you could reset the entire system 0 through to 99. It's up to you. This is a handy feature because it's a bit more controllable than your normal factory reset, which will completely erase everything. So let's exit right back to the master screen now. The last thing I'll point out is the very quick editing that's available just by pressing the module buttons right across the middle of the unit. These are the ones marked compressor, overdrive, preamp, FX1, FX2, delay, reverb, your individual effects within your chain. At the end of these switches you'll see the memory edit button right in the center of the unit, and I'm going to press that now. And it takes us back to that effects chain screen that we saw before. This is where we can edit our individual patch. We can move our effects around as we see fit. So if you come across a patch that you particularly like, you can press memory edit to go in and start editing at that more detailed level nice and quickly, as opposed to using the easy edit functions on the top left, which are designed more to get you towards the kind of patch that you want right from scratch. So zooming out a little bit, you'll see in the module chain here, or the effects chain, that you can add or take things out simply by pressing the buttons. So in this video we've seen the 3 major ways in which you can change or edit your effects. You can go in through easy edit here, choose a patch and select individual on-offs there, or you can just quickly run through each of the patches till you find something similar to what you like and go ahead and press memory edit, and that'll give you access to some detailed editing. Bear in mind that while you're in the edit mode you can still add or remove these effects with one touch. So if you're like me, you might have found the GT-1 a little bit baffling at first, so I hope this tutorial has helped you to understand it a little bit better. I hope visually it's been reasonably helpful for you as well. I would like to have shown the controls and the screen working together, but unfortunately the screen is just so bright that I can't really make that happen. Anyway, you get the idea. That's the Boss GT-1, guys. Please feel free to hit me up with any questions, or even better still, hit that like button and subscribe to Gear Facts. Thanks for watching, guys. I look forward to seeing you next time.